Hello, my name is David Sears. I'm a student at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and this is an information presentation using the technique known as Pecha Kucha. As we've reached the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings, I thought it would be appropriate to use this format to discuss the events that occurred in the Allied invasion of Normandy. In November 1943, Adolf Hitler put Field Marshal Rommel in charge of a defense that included a 2,400-mile fortification of bunkers, landmines, and obstacles in northern France. 6 German infantry divisions were available to oppose an invasion, along with a single panzer division in reserve and 3 more inland. In January 1944, General Eisenhower was appointed commander for Operation Overlord. In the months preceding D-Day, a massive deception operation was carried out to make the Germans think the main invasion target was Pas-de-Calais. Many tactics were used for the deception, including fake equipment and a phantom army commanded by General George Patton. Meanwhile, 9 Army divisions from the United States, Britain, and Canada trained and rehearsed their roles for the carefully choreographed operations. Rangers climbed cliffs, engineers destroyed obstacles, and quartermasters stockpiled supplies as infantrymen waded through the English surf to hone their skills. Eisenhower selected June 5, 1944, as the date for the invasion. However, bad weather caused it to be delayed for 24 hours. On the morning of June 5th, after meteorologists predicted improved conditions for the following day, Eisenhower gave the go-ahead for Operation Overlord. In the early hours of 6 June, over 1,000 transport dropped paratroopers in rear areas. Amphibious craft landed some 130,000 troops on 5 beaches along 50 miles. British and Canadians land on beaches codenamed Gold, Juno, and Sword in the east. In the west, Americans land on Utah and Omaha. Disorganization, confusion, incomplete or faulty implementation of plans characterized the initial phases of the landings. This was especially true of the airborne landings, which were badly scattered, as well as the first wave of units landing on the assault beaches. To their credit, most of the troops were able to adapt to the disorganization. The airborne assault of D-Day was the largest use of airborne troops up to that time. Numbering more than 13,000 men, the paratroopers were assigned the very difficult task of a night jump behind enemy lines 5 hours before the coastal landings. Many were injured and killed during the attack, but they fought fiercely, causing confusion among the Germans. The 4th Infantry Division was assigned to take Utah. The first wave landed 2,000 yards south of the planned beach. However, the original beach was heavily defended compared to only light resistance encountered on the new beach. Within hours, the beachhead was secured and the division started inland to contact the airborne division scattered across its front. The landing by infantry and Army Rangers on Omaha Beach was more difficult than expected. When the first wave landed at 6:30, they found that preparatory fires had not softened German resistance. Confusion reigned as troops and vehicles piled onto the beach in the face of concentrated fire. By 9:15, General Bradley feared he would have to call off the landings. Omaha was the bloodiest of the D-Day beaches, with roughly 2,400 U.S. casualties. During these dark hours, bravery prevailed. As soldiers struggled, one leader told his men that 2 types of people would stay on the beach: the dead and those going to die, so they'd better get the hell out of there. And they did. Gold Beach was the objective of the 50th Division of the British Second Army. Its task was to seize terrain and drive inland to seize the road junction at Bayou, as well as contact U.S. forces on their right and Canadians on their left. The initial opposition was fierce, but the British invasion forces broke through with relatively light casualties to reach their objectives. Juno Beach was the landing area for the 3rd Canadian Division. In spite of heavy opposition, the Canadians broke through and advanced nearly to their objective, an airfield west of Caen. The Canadians made the deepest penetration of any land forces on June 6th, again with moderate casualties. Sword Beach was the objective of the 3rd British Infantry Division. Their task was to advance inland as far as Caen and then line up with the British airborne forces. They penetrated quite a ways inland after breaking the opposition at the water's edge, but unfortunately, fierce opposition from the 21st Panzer and later the 12th SS Panzer divisions prevented the British from reaching Caen. Caen was not taken until late June. Less than a week later, on 11 June, the beaches were fully secured. Over 326,000 troops, More than 50,000 vehicles and some 100,000 tons of equipment had landed at Normandy. Allied casualties alone were estimated at over 9,000, with 4,400 dead or missing. In the ensuing weeks, the Allies fought their way across the Normandy countryside in the face of a determined German resistance, as well as a dense landscape of marshes and hedgerows. By the end of June, the Allies had seized a vital port, landed approximately 850,000 men and 150,000 vehicles, and were poised to continue their march across France. The amount of logistics employed on D-Day was staggering. 11,590 aircraft, 14,674 sorties, 867 gliders, and 6,939 naval vessels supported D-Day operations. The Normandy invasion began to turn the tide against the Nazis. A significant psychological blow, it also prevented Hitler from sending troops from France to build up his eastern front against the advancing Soviets. The following spring, on May 8, 1945, the Allies formally accepted the unconditional surrender of Nazi Germany. The cost of D-Day was significant. There are 9,386 graves in the American cemetery in Normandy. Each grave faces west, towards America. 307 of those graves contain the remains of unknown soldiers. 1,557 names are listed in the Garden of the Missing, for those who were never found. Few of the over 150,000 soldiers who assaulted on the storm-torn beaches or parachuted deep into Normandy remain alive today to pass on the legacy of that, their longest day. I would ask, if you're fortunate enough to run across one, that you thank him for his service that has helped preserve the freedoms we enjoy today. Thank you for listening.